You want to know what is wild? The fact that it's been nearly a year since we did a guide and discussed solo no-fill. You may have also heard me many times pushing myself to improve, but there's also different categories on how you can improve. The small list is aim, game sense, team play, movement, just to name a few. So I decided to solo queue no-fill once a new season dropped and take a new approach to my improvement arc. Guess how it went? Bad. Listen, we can all improve our aim and master new levels of aim training, but as we talk about on this channel, end of the day, you need to apply it in game. This is my next big journey and I want to share it with you. And call me crazy, but I want to do this on Wattson. Let's discuss the category slightly. I've spent the last year always hitting masters and ranking, but what does this teach you, the audience? That different modes teach different skill sets as well. And this reinforces it from my own teachings here. Choosing Season 18 was my season to improve, as it's really a happy accident. Why? Well, because the skill-based matchmaking, as rumored, is the most difficult this season. This could be why I felt like I should retire, give up on gaming, that I sucked, that I was horrible, and the past few days trying to solo queue no-fill has been an absolute nightmare for me. I really felt like I had no idea how to play Apex for the first time I was doing it. I was really struggling. Consider this part 1, and I intend to keep this through the whole season with not exactly weekly updates and gameplay, but with tips and journey to help you improve as I make my best attempt forward on solo queue no-fill. So now this first video may be a little shorter because I had a week to actually try this out, and as we discussed, it went pretty bad. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh on myself, but I have high expectations. Let's discuss what I learned and what I'm going to work on with a bullet point list. Remember, in future episodes when we win or get a fun round, I'm going to break it down for you guys using this list. So this first episode is going to be very important. I'm confident I'm on the right track. Execution is just the most difficult part, and it's about, at this point, putting the time in. So now we got matchmaking being difficult out of the way. Essentially, don't be upset at yourself because solo no-fill is stressful. Let's begin on the list. Number 1. In pubs, it's easy to get second place if you duck and weave out of fights. I got so many second place games, but my damage may not have been as high, or I didn't get as many eliminations as I hoped for. But clutching out in the end is hard because teams are essentially holding hands, and now you're going to be facing the best team. So timing is really everything. Number 2. Dropping near the action is really key. You'd be surprised how good of loot you can get yourself from a smaller POI nearby. No-name POIs next to the hot drop is more than enough for one person. I once came out with a purple bag and armor with all my favorite guns and was really set to go for the rest of the round. Number 3, if you drop right on the action, if you want to be insane, it may not be the best way to get placement and to actually win, but it can get you a lot more eliminations. So if that's your goal, it can be easier to get lost in the mix and work on that fighting technique. What team you're actually on is what you're trying to do to confuse the opponent. This one has to be one of the biggest goals. Once someone realizes you are alone or on a different team, well, they're going to shove you and push you. So you want to give the illusion that you're part of one team or the other and have people confused and not push you. You want to have them give you a little respect. Now, with number 4, with a team holding hands. Now, if they're clearly 3-stacking, the odds of winning that fight, even if they're all really bad, is pretty much 0. Your goal is to isolate somebody out. The best bet is to be near zip lines, an area you can get to kite quickly, doors, an obstacle to break the line of sight, anything along those lines. I personally think the zip lines work best. The downside is if an enemy gets a res or resets, you're back to square one and most likely going to lose that fight. So securing those knocks, well, you normally don't do it in a squad, is pretty important to do here because once you get that knock and they res, you're, like I said, just reset. It kind of sucks. Number 5. I'm being insane by playing Wattson, but who is the ideal solo no-fill? Any legend with the utility to reset. Wraith hopping her Q can get you out of a bad fight or a bad situation. Pathfinder can grapple away. Vantage can use her tactical to move out. Loba can Q and go craft and get more batteries or anything. Just get out of dodge and get more loot. See where I'm going with this? That a stationary legend is going to have the hardest time. Your fight selection has to be darn near perfect. It has to be perfect if you are a stationary legend, because you don't know if you're going to get thirded. You essentially have to plan your route ahead of time and know that you're going to win that fight, which is very difficult to do. Number 6, be quick and loot and rotate. If a fight is not panning out, you set the pace as a solo squad member. Additionally, replicators are your best friends, so don't miss out on them. Great way to level up your armor if you did not get good armor, and trust me, you're going to need that, because even doing 200 damage and you're isolated can be a nightmare because people are going to say, hey, go push that person from a distance doing damage, and trust me, they will shove you. Now, number 7 is look for moments where the lobby dogpiles and checklists if you can get into the scuffle and get out quickly. Most of the time, if you just want to win, that just rotating is going to be important, but remember that it is kind of important for you to do damage because you got to level up the armor for the last fight. Trust me, you don't want to be in the last fight with the whole team on red and you're on blue because you're 100% not going to win that. Number 8, Ranged loadouts can be great to grief, but remember, when you alert a team and when you take shots, it's important because if you're dealing out a lot of damage and you're posing a threat, then you're going to be called out by the team and they're going to go shove you. Number 9, getting hard chase is a difficult one because it's your chance to isolate somebody out, but if you got the Avengers chasing you, I promise you're not going to survive. So it looks like zone is going to be your new home as you're running away just for your dear life. But if you can, you notice only one of them is chasing you, that's the perfect moment to say, hey, I can isolate this person out and win that fight. And of course, lastly, patience. I know lots of streamers, pros, creators that make it look easy. It's really not. Actually doing it again, I feel out of practice, and that could be one for Watson and one for the fact we hadn't done it in a really long time. Getting a nice game does take a lot of time and luck, and also skill-based matchmaking being as difficult as it is now. But your job is to create your own luck through discipline and patience. So let's compile this all together. Why in the world, you watching this video, would you go through this headache? What in the world is there to learn? Well, this is what I'm trying to learn, and I'm hoping that I can share this with you and maybe help you improve. So the list to improve is you have the knowledge of proper rotation to get in and out of a fight effectively, which is good for your squad because you can relay the information on whether the fight is good to take or not. Essentially, choosing good fights. Good fights can be very difficult, but if you do it solo, you can assess it solo, knowing that you have teammates. Adding them into the equation can help you choose better fights. Isolating opponents is also very difficult to learn when you're in a squad, sometimes. And if you're doing it by yourself, I promise you with a squad that you'll be able to identify it much more effectively. This is one of self-improvement here, but I also want to improve on my fence play. Also, as Watson, to be able to master when I put my gen and fences down. Mastering one of the 3 scenarios without a teammate is one way to do it here. It's probably the most stressful to do it, but it's another way. Creating strong openings, such as range or close range, can be really helpful as well. Beating opponents out, and of course, clutching out under pressure. I won't lie, being solo no-fill, again, actually got my heart racing. It's kind of weird considering how long it's been, but I guess when you're alone, you're holding all that weight. Next episode, I really hope to showcase a win, but like I said, this one didn't go how I hoped, and I wanted to be transparent and just kind of showcase what happened. So be sure to subscribe and join me on this journey, and let's see what kind of success we can find together on this season. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys all in the next episode.